My wife and her family locked me out of our house during a snowstorm. They laughed at me through the window. "Freeze to death, worthless idiot!" That's what her brother said, and my wife high-fived him. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just got in my car, drove away, and didn't look back. 3 days later, my phone lit up with 47 desperate messages. You know that moment when you realize your entire marriage has been a lie? For me, it wasn't suspicious texts. It wasn't lipstick on a collar. It was seeing my wife of 5 years high-five her brother through our frosted living room window while I stood outside in 15-degree weather begging to be let into my own damn house. I'm a 33-year-old guy. I've been married to Eleanor, 31F, for just over 5 years. The first couple of years were good. Not perfect, but what relationship is? Then things started unraveling when her parents' lease ended and they just needed a place to stay for a couple weeks. That was 18 months ago. Since then, it's been a slow, grinding descent. First, small stuff. Her mom rearranged the entire kitchen without asking. Her dad constantly criticized how I handled our finances. Then her brother Autumn, 27M, moved in 3 months ago after losing his roommate situation. Our 3-bedroom house suddenly had 5 adults in it, and somehow I became the outsider. I tried to talk to Eleanor many times, but every conversation ended the same way: tears, accusations that I didn't love her family. But they're family. That was her favorite excuse. Eventually, I stopped trying. I buried myself in work, picked up extra shifts, spent hours in the garage just to breathe. Not the healthiest coping mechanism, but hindsight's 2020. Then came last Thursday. The breaking point. A massive blizzard had hit, one of those stay inside or die warnings on the news. I'd taken an extra shift at work, partly for the overtime, mostly to avoid their weekly game night. They'd sit around laughing at inside jokes I was never part of. My shift ended at 11 p.m., and the roads were hell. A normally 20-minute drive took nearly an hour. When I finally got home, exhausted, I noticed all the lights were on. Odd for nearly midnight, but whatever. I trudged through knee-deep snow to the front door, put my key in. It didn't work. I tried again. Same thing. Right house, right key. I knocked, waited, knocked louder. Eventually, I saw movement through the frosted glass. The porch light flicked on. It was Eleanor. Relief hit me, until I saw her expression. She wasn't worried. She was amused. I motioned for her to open the door. She shook her head. Confused, I called her. She picked up, stayed silent. "The door's locked. My key's not working. Can you let me in? It's freezing." "Yeah, about that," she said casually. "We changed the locks today." "You what? Why would you do that without telling me?" Autumn thought it would be funny. I just stared at her through the window, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. "Eleanor, it's 15 degrees and there's 2 feet of snow. Let me in." That's when her brother stepped into view, holding a beer, grinning like he was watching a sitcom. "Sorry, bro," he said loud enough for me to hear. "No losers allowed tonight. Family meeting only." I looked at my wife, waiting for her to shut him down, to open the door, to act like a human being. She didn't. She laughed. Her parents came into view behind them, smirking. Her dad raised his wine glass in a mock toast. "Eleanor," I said, voice shaking from cold and rage. "This isn't funny. Open the door, now." She shrugged. "Maybe you should go stay with one of your friends. We're having a family meeting about the house." "I am family. I'm your husband. This is my house, too." Then Autumn leaned toward the window, breath fogging the glass. "Freeze to death, worthless idiot." And she didn't say a word. She nodded. She laughed. And high-fived him. Something in me snapped, or maybe it finally healed. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just turned around, trudged back to my car, and left. My phone died before I could call anyone. The roads were getting worse, but I managed to find a 24-hour diner still open and sat there all night drinking coffee. In the morning, I borrowed their phone and called my buddy Brandon. No questions asked. He said I could crash with him. I stayed at his apartment for 3 days, off the grid. No social media, no contact. I just breathed, thought, processed. Sunday night, I finally charged my old phone. 47 messages. Not an exaggeration. 47 separate texts, voicemails, and DMs across platforms. If you want the follow-up, I'll post it. But for now, just know this. Sometimes you don't need proof. You don't need a smoking gun. Sometimes you just need to be standing outside your own house in the snow while your wife laughs at you, to know you were never really welcome there to begin with. The first few messages were exactly what you'd expect. Angry, condescending, immature. 9:43 a.m. Friday. Eleanor. Very mature, Atlas. When are you planning to come home? 11:27 a.m. Friday. Eleanor. Mom and Dad think you're being ridiculous. Autumn says he was just joking. 2:16 p.m. Friday. Eleanor's mom. Atlas, this behavior is unacceptable. Eleanor is very upset. Then, as Friday evening rolled around, the tone started shifting. 6:32 p.m. Friday. Eleanor. Where are you staying? At least let me know you're okay. 7:14 p.m. Eleanor. I called Brandon, but he said he hasn't heard from you. Please just text. Back. 8:45 p.m. Eleanor. Your work said you called in, so at least I know you're alive. By Saturday morning, it was full-on panic mode. 7:13 a.m. Saturday, Eleanor. Atlas, please answer. This isn't funny anymore. 7:14 a.m. Eleanor. I'm worried something happened to you. 8:22 a.m. Eleanor's dad. Son, we need to talk about what happened. This silent treatment isn't solving anything. 9:07 a.m. Autumn. Hey man, I was just messing around. Didn't mean anything by it. Come home so we can sort this out. And then came my personal favorite. Saturday afternoon, 1:44 p.m. Eleanor's mom. We never meant for you to actually leave. Please come back so we can talk this through as a family. As a family. The same family that locked me out during a life-threatening blizzard. The same people who stood on the other side of the glass and laughed while I froze. I've never been the kind of guy to make a scene. Never the type to burn bridges or storm out. I've always been the peacekeeper, the compromiser, the guy who kept his mouth shut while his in-laws slowly took over his home. The guy who slept in the garage so everyone else could be comfortable. The guy who said, "It's fine," when it really, really wasn't. But something changed that night. Standing in the snow, watching my wife, the woman I thought I'd grow old with, laugh at me while her brother called me a worthless idiot, something inside me finally woke up. So I sent her one text, just one. We need to talk. Meet me. At Starbucks tomorrow at noon. Come alone. And then I started planning. Update 1. First off, holy crap. I didn't expect my last post to blow up like that. My notifications have been a mess, but I read as many comments as I could. Thank you. To everyone who offered advice or just said, "Hey, you're not crazy." That meant more than you know. So, like I promised, here's what happened during those 3 days I disappeared and what went down at that Starbucks meeting. Night 1. After I left the house, I sat in my car for at least 15 minutes. The heater was on full blast, but I didn't feel anything. I just stared at my hands gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white. I didn't cry. I didn't scream or punch anything. I just existed. Eventually, I made it to a 24-hour diner called Mel's. The place was nearly empty. Just 2 truckers and a waitress who looked like she regretted every life choice that led her there. I sat in a corner booth and ordered coffee. Josephine, the waitress, was an absolute legend. She kept refilling my cup all night and never charged me extra. My phone died around 1 a.m. Honestly, probably for the best. I didn't want to see whatever garbage Eleanor or her family might have sent. So I just sat there, watching snow pile up outside the window. Morning. When the sun came up, I used the diner's phone to call Brandon. We hadn't talked much lately. Eleanor's family always gave him crap because he once called them out for dominating every conversation at my birthday dinner. But he didn't ask questions. Just said, "Come over, door's unlocked, I'll make breakfast." Day 1. Once I got to Brandon's, I started thinking clearly. And I did 3 critical things. 1. Got a new phone with a new number. I kept the old one off and tucked away, only turning it on to check messages. I didn't respond to anything. 2. Checked our joint bank account. Last I remembered, it had over $8,000. Now, $372. Turns out, Eleanor had been siphoning money to an account I didn't recognize. Slowly, over months. Roughly $7,800 gone. 3. Went to the bank in person, got into our safety deposit box and pulled out everything important. Birth certificate, car title, passport, insurance documents. Thankfully, I'd stashed those there before her family moved in. They couldn't touch them. Day 2. I talked to HR at work, not for sympathy, just to get ahead of any possible drama. My manager, Thomas, was shockingly cool about it, said his sister had gone through something similar. He even offered to notify security in case anyone tried showing up. Then I met with a financial advisor. Not cheap, but it was worth every penny just to know what steps to take next to protect myself. Day 3. I finally turned my old phone back on. You already saw some of the messages, but that was just the start. Things get even more interesting from here. By Saturday afternoon, things hit a new level. 2:33 p.m., Saturday. Eleanor. We filed a missing person report, but the police said since you called work, they can't do anything. Please just come home. 3:18 p.m., Saturday. Eleanor. Your sister called me asking where you were. Did you tell her? What happened? Fun fact. I didn't. But my sister Dorothy? She's always seen through Eleanor's BS faster than anyone else. By Sunday, the messages were rolling in almost every hour, each one more frantic than the last. 9:14 a.m., Sunday. Eleanor. Please come home, I'm sorry, we were just joking around. 10:02 a.m., Sunday. Eleanor's mom. Atlas, we never meant for you to actually leave. Please come back so we can talk this through, as a family. 10:17 a.m., Sunday. Eleanor. I love you. Please come back. I'll make this right. 11:45 a.m., Sunday. Autumn. Dude, everyone's freaking out. Just let us know you're okay. I'm sorry about what I said. And then finally, 2:17 p.m. Sunday. Eleanor. Please, I'll do anything. Just come home. That's when I sent the message. We need to talk. Meet me at Starbucks tomorrow at noon. Come alone. The Starbucks meeting. I said, come alone for a reason. So guess who she brought? The entire circus, her parents, her brother, the full entourage. I almost turned around and left right there, but I played it cool. Sat down, looked Eleanor dead in the eyes and said, we agreed you'd come alone. She started crying immediately, saying she was scared and needed support. Her mom jumped in, saying they were all just worried about me and wanted to help. I stayed completely calm and asked one question. Where did the $7,800 from our joint account go? The look on their faces? Priceless. Eleanor stammered something about emergency family expenses. Her dad tried to change the subject. Autumn, bless his delusional heart, had the audacity to say I was being selfish about money at a time. Like this. So I pulled out the bank statements, showed the steady withdrawals, the account it was going to, and asked again, point blank, Where's the money, Eleanor? That's when she broke. She admitted her parents had been in deep financial trouble, some shady investment gone wrong, and she'd been quietly funneling them money for months. Why didn't she tell me? Because she knew I'd be judgmental. Her dad immediately got defensive, saying I should be grateful they were living with us because their expertise and connections were valuable to our future. What expertise? The man can't operate a microwave without calling for help. I didn't raise my voice, didn't argue, just slid a piece of paper across the table with 3 demands. Return the $7,800 within 48 hours. Everyone moves out of my house within 1 week. Eleanor agrees to couples counseling if she wants even a chance of saving our marriage. Her mom actually laughed. We're not going anywhere. That house is as much ours as yours. And that's when I played my trump card. I pulled out my phone, showed them the video I took the night they locked me out. Crystal clear audio of Autumn saying, "Freeze to death, worthless idiot," and Eleanor laughing. I told them, very calmly, that if the money wasn't returned and they didn't vacate, this video would go public. Friends, family, her workplace, everyone. Oh, and I casually mentioned I'd already spoken to a lawyer. Not true, yet, but they didn't need to know that. I explained the potential consequences. Financial theft, reckless endangerment during a declared weather emergency. Suddenly, the Starbucks went silent. Eleanor was sobbing. Her mom was livid. Her dad looked like he'd seen a ghost. And Autumn stared at his coffee like it could save him. I stood up and said, "Let me know your decision by the end of the day." Then I walked out. The fallout. That was yesterday. This morning, I checked my account. $7,800. Back in full. Got a text from Eleanor. My family will be out by Friday. Can we talk privately? I haven't responded. Instead, I reached out to Dorothy, my sister. Turns out she's had suspicions about Eleanor's family for years. She's been filling me in on some disturbing patterns. Similar behavior toward other people, manipulative tactics, lies. There's a lot more I need to sort through, and I'll post a full update once Friday comes and goes. But one thing is clear. The man who walked out that night isn't the same one who got locked out. The old me? The doormat? He froze to death in the snow. The one who came back is someone else entirely. Final update. For now. First thing I noticed when I stepped back into my house Friday? They'd rearranged the living room furniture. Seriously, who does that on their way out? The couch was pushed against a different wall. The TV stand was angled weird. And my favorite recliner, the one Eleanor always hated, was shoved into the corner like a punishment. It was such a petty move that I actually laughed. The first real laugh I'd had in weeks. Thanks, by the way, for all the support on my previous posts. Reading your comments felt like being surrounded by thousands of friends who actually cared. Which is more than I can say for the people I was living with. They actually moved out a day early, Thursday, which immediately made me suspicious. Her family doesn't do anything early unless they're hiding something. So I had Brandon come with me to check the place. The house wasn't trashed, but it was off. Furniture moved around. Thermostat set to 63 degrees. I always keep it at 68. All the wedding photos removed. Family ones still there, but just the wedding ones. Gone. My PlayStation, still there. But every saved game file, deleted. Fridge, completely emptied. Not even a mustard bottle left. Every light bulb replaced with those gross, harsh white LEDs I hate. Nothing criminal, just intentional. A last passive-aggressive middle finger. But the strangest part? On the kitchen counter, I found a letter from Eleanor. Not a goodbye, not an apology, a bill. She'd itemized her share of household expenses from the past 5 years. With a note, "We're even now for the $7,800. I took a picture and posted it to my Instagram story. The comments? Pure chaos. When we met, she looked different. Not just sad or stressed, smaller somehow, like someone had let the air out of her. She started crying before I even sat down on the bench. This time, though, her tears didn't move me at all. Crazy how that works. Seeing her cry used to flip a switch in me, turn me into an instant apologizing machine. Now I just sat and waited for her to pull herself together. What followed was surprisingly calm. She admitted her family had been controlling her for years, but she also admitted something else. She let them. The money transfers, her parents, had dumped a bunch of cash into some sketchy crypto scheme that tanked. They'd been guilt-tripping her ever since. How they'd moved in to help us, so we should help them too. Then she told me the part that really hit. The night of the lockout? That was Autumn's idea. A loyalty test. He convinced her that I was too independent, too proud, and needed to be put in my place. Changing the locks was supposed to be temporary, just a lesson about respecting family hierarchy. Yes, those were his exact words, family hierarchy. What is this, Game of Thrones? Eleanor swore she never meant for it to go that far. Said she'd argued with them after I left, but just didn't have the spine to stand up to them when it mattered. I asked the one question that had been burning a hole in my chest. Was any of our marriage real? Or was I just an ATM and a free housing plan for your family? Her answer was complicated. She said she did love me, but also admitted she'd chosen me, in part because I was stable and easy to influence. Her exact words, "I knew you'd never say no to me if I cried enough." That hit harder than the lockout. I told her I wanted a divorce. She didn't seem surprised, just asked if there was anything she could do to change my mind. I said no. Now here's where things got interesting. Remember Eleanor's Aunt Dorothy? I mentioned her before, the family's black sheep. Turns out she'd been pushed out years ago for the same reason, refusing to let Eleanor's parents control her finances or her life. I'd only met her once, at our wedding, and even then Eleanor's parents made sure we didn't talk much. After I left that night, I tracked her down on Facebook. Dorothy filled me in on the full history, years of financial manipulation, guilt, trips, emotional blackmail. What happened to me wasn't some fluke. It was a pattern. And Dorothy had a plan. Confront them, all of them, together. At their big monthly family dinner, she'd been reconnecting with a few extended family members, people who were also sick of the power games, but had been too afraid to speak up. So last Sunday, we showed up unannounced at Eleanor's grandparents' house. Dorothy walked in beside me, cool as ice. The look on everyone's face? Worth it. Eleanor's mom actually choked on her wine. Her dad turned ghost white. Autumn tried to leave, but his girlfriend, who I'd always liked, made him sit his ass back down. I didn't yell, didn't make a scene. I just calmly laid out everything, the lockout, the stolen money, the years of manipulation. Then I played the video, the one of them laughing while I stood outside in the snow. After that, Dorothy told her story. And it was almost a carbon copy of mine. The extended family was stunned. They'd had no idea. Eleanor's grandparents were horrified. Her cousins were texting under the table, probably updating the group chat. Uncle Robert even stood up and said, "I thought I was the only one." And just like that, it was like dominoes. One by one, people started sharing their own stories. Years of silence. Gone. Then Autumn cracked. He admitted locking me. Out was a calculated move, to push me out of Eleanor's life for good. His girlfriend dumped him on the spot. Asked if she could get a ride home with me and Dorothy. We said yes, obviously. Eleanor's dad tried to regain control. He stood up and yelled that I was manipulating everyone. Nobody bought it. Her mom tried to throw Eleanor under the bus, said she was the one who mishandled the situation. That backfired. Because finally, Eleanor stood up to them. Said she was done being their puppet. That she'd lost her marriage because of their games. She actually threw her phone at her dad and said she was blocking them until they got professional help. I didn't stick around for the rest of the fallout. I'd said my piece. Dorothy got her family back, and I walked out with my head held high. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, the divorce papers have been filed. Eleanor didn't contest a thing. I've redesigned the house, new paint, new furniture layout, even adopted a chill pit mix named Banjo from the shelter. He's already claimed my favorite recliner as his throne. Eleanor's parents left town, visiting relatives, aka hiding from the family shame. Autumn got fired from his job. Unrelated reasons. Karma's a Dorothy. Dorothy and I have become good friends. She's been an incredible support. I've reconnected with people Eleanor's family pushed away. And Eleanor? She came by yesterday to pick up the last of her stuff. She looked different, calmer, more like the woman I first met. Said she started therapy, moved in with her cousin. She apologized again, not to win me back, just because she meant it. For a second, I wondered what could have been, if she'd found her backbone years ago. But that moment passed quickly. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ash. It's been exactly 1 month since I stood freezing outside, watching my wife laugh through a window. My life isn't perfect. My sink leaks. I still haven't figured out how to cook for one, but it's mine again. And for the first time in a long, long time. I'm actually excited to see what comes next.